Hello, everyone, and welcome to LoroSportsPod and Sportscenter with Loro and Matt. And today we have a lot to talk about. Baseball's playoffs is in full swing, and then we have a Game 4 and 5 preview for the Dodgers after last night's thrilling win. The Houston Astros have forced a Game 5. Talk about the Detroit Lions having bad luck. You'll be at that game on Sunday, Matt, when they take on the LA Rams. It's going to be the return of Jared Goff going head-to-head with Matthew Stafford, as Matthew Stafford's going to go up against the Detroit Lions. I know he knows this team well, but Dan Campbell has making this Lions team play so hard. We're going to talk about that. Opening night, the Bucks won on ring night. The Lakers fall to the Klay Thompson-less Warriors. NBA Wednesday, we got some really good games to talk about. The Celtics are taking on the Knicks tonight, along with the Nuggets and Suns. And then the Mavs and the Hawks are playing tomorrow night with the Clippers and Warriors on TNT NBA Thursday. And then the Lakers and the Suns will be playing Friday, along with the Lakers and Grizzlies. Your Detroit Pistons will be playing tonight. We'll be talking about that as well, talk about expectations for the season. Good week in the NHL. We have something to talk about there. So, Matt, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you? I'm pumped after that Dodger win yesterday.
It was. Let's get to that first. So the Dodgers, they were down 2-0 in this series. Everybody thought that this was going to be a 3-0 series and that the Dodgers have an uphill battle to climb. So the Dodgers, however, got the win in the 8th inning. Walker Buehler didn't particularly look great yesterday. But I really think that the Dodgers starting pitching needs to really, really go deep in this game, especially that this bullpen has been outstanding all year long. You know, this Dodger bullpen would love to get a rest here, but I think the series is in the Dodgers' hands now.
Yeah, it is. That was a strange game where Dodgers came out early and people thought, okay, this is going to go according to plan. Dodgers back at home, and then they're going to get a win. And then the Braves came back and took a 4-2, then a 5-2 lead. The Dodgers just looked like they were just going to roll over. And then the 8th inning happened. And, that 8th inning, it was just an explosion. 4 runs, the Bellinger bomb, the Betts single. And, they took the lead and held on. And, this could be a momentum-shifting game for sure. We'll see who wins tonight with Urias on the mound. Have they announced the Braves pitcher yet?
The Braves have not even announced their starting pitcher yet, as I don't know. We don't know who's starting. It's going to be a bullpen game for the Braves.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, so it's going to be a tough one. You feel like I still think the pressure's still on the Dodgers. I think they got to get a win here. I think they need to win both these games at home.
They sure do. They totally have to win both of these games at home. That's for sure. So now, I still think the Dodgers can win this in 6 or maybe 7.
Yeah, I think a win in 6. We'll see if they can string off 4 straight wins.
I believe they can. And then let's talk about the Red Sox-Astros. So Game 1 belonged to the Astros. Game 2 belonged to Boston. Game 3 belonged to Boston. And then Game 4 back to Houston. This series is even.
Yeah, I think that, I was watching yesterday's game and, the Astros just erupted in the 8th and the 9th inning. 7 runs in the 9th. The Red Sox, no pride in that team in the 9th inning for some reason. So some people are complaining about the strike zone that the umpire had, but they had a 2-1 lead. And you give up 7 runs in the 9th. Sorry, like that's not the ump. With the strike zone issue. That's your pitching not getting the job done. And their hitting went quiet. They're like the Red Sox have been mashing the ball over the place. They only got 2 runs in this game, so that's going to be a pretty big game 5 here in 2 hours.
Yes, it is going to be a really, really big Game 5. That's for sure.
Who do
So,
you predict will win?
Red Sox in 7.
Uh-huh.
But
What
if
about
it's
today?
I think the Red Sox will get the win. I think
Okay.
it's a big Game 5. I think if they win because it's at home, I think they'll force it off Game 6. And then I think the Astros will win Game 6, and then we'll have a winner take all Game 7 on Saturday.
All right.
So I think because this baseball postseason has been very good, but also talk about some developing story from the Mets. They want to sign Javi Baez as soon as possible. I predicted that the Mets will keep Javi Baez so that he could play second base for a long time, and then you know that he would want to play with Francisco Lindor.
Yeah, I think
Don't
so.
you think?
Yeah.
So now let's talk about the next thing we're going to talk about next is some NBA. So the Nets and the Bucks and the Warriors and Lakers. So the Nets played without Kyrie Irving. The Lakers looked good, but the fourth quarter they looked lost. So start with the Bucks and Nets. The Bucks won this game because this was the day that they were getting their rings and that they wanted to just get off to a good start. From what I saw from them in the late fourth quarter, they did not take a step back. This team is going to be in the top 2 in the East.
Oh yeah, they're up there, and the question marks for the Nets will be there all season. It'll be what happens to Kyrie. Does he get the vaccine and come back? How does he sit out the entire season? A slight chance that the vaccine mandates go away because COVID is defeated in some way. They don't need the mandates. I don't think that's going to happen, especially not over the course of this basketball season. But it's a possibility. That he needs to. The team is going to be about whether he can come back or not, because I don't think that KD and Harden can get the job done on their own. I don't think they're the best team in the East. I think it's still the Bucks.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the Bucks and the Nets are toe to toe, but I think that the Bucks are probably going to leapfrog the Nets at the end of the year, at the end of the season. But for the Lakers, they look good in the first 3 quarters, but in the fourth quarter, their defense did not capitalize. It did not execute. Carmelo Anthony, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, those guys played well. Russell Westbrook had a quiet debut for the Lakers. He got exposed. He only was held to single-digit points.
Yeah, only 8 points. Last year, he only had 1 game under 10 points. So, this is there's 2 things about this team. It's an old lineup, and it's top heavy, right? You got LeBron, AD, and Michael Westbrook. And you get some parts around him, right? And I was surprised too in the fourth quarter, just couldn't get a stop on the Warriors. They played pretty good the rest of for most of the game. But this Lakers team, they're still contenders. But it's all about figuring out how these parts get put together. And this is LeBron's, I think, last shot to win a title.
You think it is his last shot to win a title?
I think it is. I think that if you look at their lineup, the Lakers went all in this year, bringing in everyone. Got a lot of big names. These guys are old. They might not be around next year, and there's no fountain of youth. They're not getting any younger. So even if they are here next year, they're not going to be any younger. So I think this is LeBron's last legit shot at a title. I think it's just getting too crowded out there with talent, and he's getting older too.
I don't think it is. I think this band will be back together. LeBron James still can show that he can play at a high level. So we'll talk about today's games. Let's start with your Detroit Pistons taking on the Chicago Bulls. I'm very excited about the Chicago Bulls. I think they're a team that's going to make the playoffs in the top 6 in the Eastern Conference. They really went all in this offseason in getting DeMar DeRozan, getting Lonzo Ball. They really, really have the squad to make it to the playoffs, but I'm not going to put them ahead of Milwaukee or Brooklyn. But for the Pistons, I was told that they have a very good young core, but they're just not there yet. Dwayne Casey, I think, is the right fit to coach this Detroit Pistons team.
Yeah, I'll say this, that the Detroit sports teams in general, the Tigers, the Red Wings, and the Pistons, they all have a good core and a good young core that's coming up. And with the Pistons and the Tigers, they both have good managers in AJ Hinch and Dwayne Casey. And the Wings are off to a good start. They're 2-0-1. They should have won that first game against the Lightning. I mean, it's incredible. So they've come out pretty hot as well. They all have good young players coming up. So I think the Pistons I think they're going to have an exciting year. I think it'll be a fun team to watch. Possible they get one of those play-in games. I don't think that'll happen, but Cade Cunningham could be that good. We'll see.
Cade Cunningham is my pick to win Rookie of the Year. I think Cam and Bay and then Killian Hayes, that's a good young group in that starting lineup.
Yep.
So I think the Bulls are probably going to win this game.
Yeah, I think they'll come out and I think they'll win, yeah.
And then the Celtics and the Knicks. So first game for first-year head coach. He's a rookie head coach. Ime Udoka is now coaching the Celtics as Brad Stevens has now taken over the role of president of basketball operations. The Celtics promoted him into that role. And I think that I think for the Knicks, they might be a really, really good team, but I think they might fall a bit in the East with teams are starting to get on the rise. I think the Knicks are a playing team at this point.
Yeah, I think the Knicks are too. I think last year was a bit fluky for them, and I still don't have any faith in that ownership to put together a team. James Dolan is the worst owner in the NBA, I think.
Well, if you look at it, the Knicks are now a well-coached team with Tom Thibodeau. I think the coaching will get the Knicks to the playoffs.
Yeah.
But you think that no star would want to play for the Knicks because of James Dolan?
Yeah, I think so. I think this is a problem too with a lot of New York teams right now, is that they don't really have a lot of stars on them. Like, look at the Giants and the Jets. I mean, they don't really have stars. The Knicks don't. Brooklyn does. Obviously they have KD and Kevin Durant, and they're competing, but the Knicks don't have stars. I mean, and they're not good. Even the Mets and Yankees, are struggling. So it's not a good time in New York sports. Opposite LA sports. LA sports, we have a lot of stars and a lot of good teams out here.
Yeah, you're right. New York sports, I mean, except for baseball, they are attracting stars, but for basketball and for football, they're kind of in that rebuild stage, but also
they just have the Nets. The Nets are the only team that's worth watching.
Yes, the Nets are
unless
worth
you're an
watching.
Islanders fan.
And then talk about the Nuggets and Suns rematch of last year's semifinal round in the Western Conference. You could talk about potentially being the 2 or 3 seeds in the Western Conference.
Yeah, it'll be a great game tonight. Looking forward to it.
And also Jamal Murray should be back at some point this year, but I think that the Nuggets' title hopes relies on Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, reigning MVP.
And for the Suns, you think the Suns are going to still be a team that's still top 2 with Chris Paul healthy and all that?
So for some reason I think the Suns might take a step back. I don't know. I think it's in a way the West has gotten a little bit easier with Kawhi Leonard being out, so Clippers aren't going to be as good. Klay Thompson going to be out for a while still, maybe most of the season. So we just don't know. I think there's some question marks for some teams. And I could see the West being a little bit up for grabs. I mean, maybe Dallas will make some moves in the second year of what's his face, the young guy.
You mean Jason Kidd?
No.
Are you talking about
the player?
Luka
Doncic. Yeah.
He's your pick for MVP, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but speaking of which, the Mavericks tomorrow playing the Hawks, Doncic versus Trae Young. I think this game could go either way. I mean, both teams are this is gonna be a really, really good game down in Atlanta. I think maybe the Hawks could win this game.
Yeah, it'll be a good one for sure. They might win it.
And then the Clippers are playing the Warriors. Will the Warriors go 2-0, or will the Clippers go 1-0, and then the Warriors fall 1-1?
I think Warriors go 2-0. I think they get another win.
Well, you're right. We'll have to wait and see on that. So now, folks, let's talk about the Lakers taking on the Suns on Friday. So, what do the Lakers need to do to go 1-1 in this season? I think Phoenix is going to be a very tough test for them on Friday, but Sunday it could be easy against the Memphis Grizzlies. But don't overlook this team with Ja Morant.
Yeah, he could be taking a big step forward, and we'll see. That's the West is tough, and I think the Lakers will get a win against Memphis, but Phoenix will be a really good test for them again. And if they go to 0-2, you're going to see a lot of people starting to hit the panic button.
Yeah, the Lakers are definitely going to need a win that beat the Suns. I expect them to, and I know that they will. So now on to football. So some of my Week 6 takeaways is that the Patriots nearly beat the Cowboys, but CeeDee Lamb, that was a tremendous catch.
Yeah, just a wild game there for sure. And it was Patriots. They game planned very well. They came out really well. But ultimately the Cowboys are a really good team, and they just took advantage at the end there.
They did. And let's talk about your Detroit Lions. So they're 0-6, not because it was a lack of effort. Someone told me about it. It's not their lack of effort. I think that the Lions, they are competitive each game and each night, but the results are just not there.
Yeah, I think the main reason is I think they're pegging it on Jared Goff. That he's just maybe not putting in the effort, maybe struggling with a lot of schemes they have set up for him. They need more production out of him for sure. Just their offense just needs more.
Yes, offense needs more. What about your defense for the Lions? Are they playing up to expectations?
The defense is doing all right, I think, given the circumstances. So, yeah, they can get better, but I think they're doing all right.
But my question for you is, will the Lions be the first team to go 0-17 in the 17-game regular season era? Will that happen?
Something. Yeah, it's possible. They're 0-6, right? They're a third of the way there. But, I think they'll get a couple of wins this year.
I think Dan Campbell's the right coach. You're not going to fire him after 1 year, though.
No.
And
he's a committed coach. He's what they need. They need to redo the roster, especially on offense.
Yeah, the Lions are in rebuild now. I don't get it, but I was comparing the Lions roster from last year to this year. Last year, the roster was not good. Matt Patricia didn't even care about coaching.
Yeah.
And this year, it's Dan Campbell. He used to be a tight end for the Lions, and he knows this organization very well. And I think he's what the Lions need as a head coach.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about their game against the LA Rams in just a minute, but that was kind of my biggest takeaway in Week 6. But what about your biggest takeaway in Week 6? What really stood out to you? Was it your upset special when the Jaguars beat the Dolphins in London?
Yeah, that was my upset special. And I got.
How do you feel about that?
Well, yeah, Urban Meyer getting his first win of the season, and I think it says a lot more about the Dolphins. They're in a tailspin, and I'm sorry, it comes down to Tua. He
played well. When I watched that game, he did play really well in his first game back. He did play great. He did play great, but the Dolphins just didn't lose. But there's no need to panic on them right now.
Yeah, I don't know if there's. I think they're 1-5. That's they were supposed to be a playoff team, or at least a borderline playoff team, and they're 1-5. I think. I don't think Brian Flores' job is in jeopardy, but
something's got to change. You got to.
I think it's going to be Tua. Honestly, if they fall to a draft position where they can take a good quarterback, they're going to move off Tua.
We'll have to see. I think Tua is the right quarterback for the Dolphins. So I think that the Dolphins, they play the Falcons this upcoming week, and I really think that the Dolphins will get their season turned around.
Yeah.
against the Falcons. But when they play the Bills next week, I don't know if they can beat Buffalo in Week 8 because Buffalo's so good right now. So they're a team that should have been undefeated at this point in the season because this team is definitely taking off here. So let's talk about Week 7. So Thursday Night Football. Before we make our picks, let's talk about both teams first. Let's start with the Cleveland Browns. Baker Mayfield's expected to play. With Kareem Hunt out, you're going to expect Nick Chubb to be getting a lot of carries. And for the Broncos, a lot of people, I think they're pretenders after that 3-0 start. So
Loro, just a correction. Baker Mayfield is out for that game.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, he is officially ruled out. Case Keenum will start.
The thing with Case Keenum is he knows the offensive system that Kevin Stefanski's put in because he knew him well in Minnesota. And I really think that Case Keenum will step up big time. I don't think that the Cleveland Browns are going to take a step back without Baker Mayfield, though.
Yeah, I'm going with the Browns in this game, and I'll tell you why. For the same reason, I think Case Keenum he's an able backup. You know what? Injuries can hurt someone's career. Obviously, not just because physically they hurt you, but if you have a backup come in and they can win games and they're cheaper, they might move off Baker Mayfield. I mean, if Case Keenum can come in and start winning games for them, why pay Baker? Baker is 3-3. If Case Keenum can win a couple of games here for him, who knows what they'll do with Baker? Who knows if he'll get back, control the team back? If they truly think he's not the future, they might see what Case Keenum can do. So
I still think Baker Mayfield's the quarterback of the future for Cleveland. I just think Case Keenum's a really good serviceable backup quarterback.
Yeah, it might come down to money. Can they pay Baker or not? With this roster they have, I don't think they can. They have to either change the roster and pay Baker or get rid of Baker and keep the roster. So we'll see what happens. But I'm going with Case Keenum here and the Browns.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I was talking about for the Broncos here. They've really fallen off. They're a team that could have started.
Vic Fangio on the hot seat.
And is Vic Fangio's seat getting even warmer?
Yeah.
Because of all this.
Yep.
Now, on to the Sunday slate. So let's start with the Jets and Patriots. Zach Wilson and Mac Jones are going head-to-head. Rookie quarterbacks have had trouble against the Patriots because of Bill Belichick's defensive plans here. But I'm going to say that the Patriots are due for a home win. I think they're going to beat the Jets. It could be a blowout like we saw in Week 2 in the Meadowlands. But maybe it might be a competitive football game between those two because I think Zach Wilson's going to want to play better this time against the Patriots.
Yeah, I think he'll want to. The question is, can he? I'm going with the Patriots here. Yeah, this has the makings of a blowout, perhaps.
It could be. We'll have to see here. Robert Saleh's a really good coach. He's the right fit for this Jets rebuild. Yep. And then let's talk about the Chiefs taking on the Titans. In this game, as much as I like Tennessee to win this game, I'm going to pick Kansas City to win. I think their season's going to get back on track here.
Yeah, this is a tough one, and it got really interesting with the Titans beating the Bills. I think the Chiefs, they control the turnovers more in this game, and they can probably stop Tannehill a bit and concentrate on stopping Derrick Henry, and I think the Chiefs get a W here in Nashville.
Absolutely. I think you got to stop Derrick Henry, and I think that if that defense can't, then that's going to be a long, long day for them.
Yeah.
And then let's talk about the Panthers and the New York Giants. So that might be a game that you don't want to talk about a lot. The Giants have had a lot of problems. They're a team that should be winless still. Not to fault Joe Judge, but he's getting a lot of blame for this.
Yeah, I don't think it's his fault. When you have your number one receiver, your number one running back, and your quarterback out with injuries, what can you do? We'll see though. They might be impatient with him and want him out. With the Panthers in this game, they have to recover from these two bad losses, right? They have to stop the bleeding, and I think it happens at the Meadowlands.
I think it does. You're absolutely right. I think think the Panthers will recover from this. So now let's talk about the Washington football team taking on the Green Bay Packers. The Washington football team has not played well to start the season, but I really think that there's still something in them that they can get their season turned around.
Oh, are you going with an upset?
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that, but I'm going to say that the Green Bay Packers will get the win.
Yeah, I'm going with Green Bay too.
So now let's talk about the Falcons and Dolphins. So the Falcons are just coming off a bye week. The Dolphins are coming off a tough loss, but I really think that Tua Tagovailoa is going to continue to show why he's the Dolphins quarterback of the future. So give me the Dolphins in this one.
Was that your upset special?
No.
I'm going with the Falcons in this one. I think they've shown some improvement. Dolphins coming off a bad loss and a long plane ride. I'm thinking the Falcons get it done in Miami.
We'll see, because the Falcons tend to choke in fourth quarter, so Tua might have a game-winning drive in him.
Yeah.
That's what I'm kind of thinking, too, so I don't want to underestimate Matt Ryan, too. So now this game's going to be really good. The Bengals and the Ravens. So the upstart Bengals going up against the Ravens. So talking about the Bengals being a surprise team, a lot of people are like, oh, they got to fire Zach Taylor if he doesn't get his team to get going here. But the Bengals are playing great football because Joe Burrow's healthy. You got Jamar Chase. I think this rebuild for the Bengals is over, but give me the Ravens in this one.
Yeah, I'm going with the Ravens too. I think that the Ravens look pretty good. They demolished the Chargers last week, and I don't think they'll beat the Bengals as badly as that, but they're going to get a good win here, I think, home against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, the Bengals are a good team that you don't want to underestimate. Now, let's talk about the game you're going to at SoFi Stadium. I know you're a Charger season ticket holder. I know you're going to be at their game next week against my team in the New England Patriots. And you get to see Mac Jones go up against Justin Herbert as the Chargers enjoy their bye week. You get to see Jared Goff and his Detroit Lions come into SoFi Stadium to go up against Matthew Stafford and the LA Rams. The LA Rams last week played really good against the Giants. That's all football for the Giants. And I won't be shocked if it's going to be another blowout type game for Matthew Stafford and the Rams, as he is going to want to torture that Detroit Lions team. And Jared Goff, without McVay, Jared Goff is not good. But I think Jared Goff is going to want to get revenge against the Rams, though.
Yeah, this has the makings of a blowout for sure. And I'll see what happens there, but I'm going with the Rams for sure. I think they just end up overpowering the Lions.
But you know what? Don't underestimate the coaching of Dan Campbell.
Yeah, that's right.
But I'll tell you what, after each game, he cries.
Yep.
And I don't know why he cries, though. I think, he's such a crybaby for losing.
Yeah.
He just cries because he just feels sorry that he's in this position with Detroit.
Yep.
So do you have an analysis about why Campbell cries after losses?
Yeah, I think with him, like, it's he's a passionate man. He puts a lot of effort into it. He's also trying, like, it's a breath of fresh air, though. There's so many coaches out there that are just very stoic and don't ever show emotion, and the Lions need someone like Dan Campbell, I think. So I like it. Yeah,
Dan Campbell's putting together a good roster. I think he's going to rebuild this roster slowly, but a familiar face is going to be back in LA too, and that is your offensive coordinator, Anthony Lynn.
Yeah, that's right. He'll be back. Yep, at SoFi Stadium.
How do you feel about him so far as your offensive coordinator, now that he's out of LA with the Chargers and now he gets to be on your team?
Well, he's been doing, like, DeAndre Swift is having a good year. Like, I think he's really good at probably establishing a run offense, but he's just, they don't have a quarter, like, Goff is not the future, like, and they don't have any, like, deep threats on the team. So, you mean talk about St. Brown being a deep threat. What about TJ Hawkinson? Yeah, he's a tight end, so he's gonna be more of like a check down and short gain type thing. So we'll see. Like, they need to redo that offense, though. We'll see what.
Yes, that offense needs retooling there. So next, let's talk about the Bears and the Buccaneers. Rookie versus the GOAT. Justin Fields against Tom Brady. I mean, I'm going to say that Tom Brady and the Buccaneers are going to blow out the Bears, but I'm underestimating the Bears. I mean, because I think the Bears are going to get blown out by this Tampa Bay team. I think that Matt Nagy is not the right coach for this Bears team at this point. So there was a lot of speculation on this Bears team heading into the season, so I'm not really convinced about them going into Tampa and winning.
Yeah, I think here you get I think the Buccaneers, I think, are going to get the win, and they're going to want revenge from last year's, was it Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football?
Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, where Tom Brady lost track of the downs and they ended up losing. So I think he's going to want revenge for that. And the Bears just aren't that good.
And then this game is definitely a game that you're not going to talk about here, but talk about former Texans and J.J. Watt and DeAndre Hopkins playing against the Texans as members of the Arizona Cardinals. So I'm going to go with the Arizona Cardinals in this game. They're just too good right now.
Yeah, they're my lock of the week, too. I'm going with Arizona. I think you have DeAndre Hopkins, J.J. Watt. You get a couple of former Texans who probably want to just pour it on their old team, And I think they're going to do it.
Yes, DeAndre Hopkins. I don't think anybody on the Texans right now will cover DeAndre Hopkins, and I think J.J. Watt is going to sack Davis Mills a lot.
Yeah.
So basically, former Texans wanting revenge on their old team. The Texans right now they're not that good right now, but I do think that David Culley is definitely the right fit for that team.
Yeah.
Because I think David Culley's he has a very passionate personality. He has a smile on his face, and I think that he brings a lot of energy and stability in that locker room. And I think that was missing because Bill O'Brien was a mess.
Yeah, he lost control of the locker room.
But I just think the Texans front office, I think Cal McNair, to me, is the worst owner in the NFL.
Yeah, he is.
And he is not his father. He's not Bob McNair. Cal McNair runs his team the own way, and Cal McNair needs to not be viewed as the worst owner in the NFL. He's getting a lot of bad reputation right now.
Yeah.
So now Sunday Night Football, two teams with losing records, but one of these teams is getting their season on track. So you got Carson Wentz and the Colts. And for the 49ers, I expect to go Trey Lance again. So give me the Colts in this game.
Yeah, I'm going with the Colts too. And I have two upset specials this week, and this is one of them. Colts over 49ers.
And are you saying that because the Colts are gonna get their season on track?
Yep. I don't like the quarterback situation with the Niners right now, so I think that the Colts are going to take advantage of that.
Yeah, they might. You never know here. So now I'll talk about Monday Night Football. So the Saints and Seahawks are going head-to-head here. So I'm going to go with the Seahawks in an upset with the Saints. I just think that the Seahawks are 2-4, and I really, really think that I want them to get at least a couple wins before Russell Wilson returns, and it's at home anyways.
Yeah, I think the Saints. I think the Saints are actually going to get a win here on the road and go to 4-2 on the season.
And do you say that because are you liking how Jameis Winston's playing right now?
Yeah, and I think that with Russell Wilson out, I think that the Saints have the advantage.
Yeah, you're right. So that could definitely happen. So now let's talk about before we talk about hockey. So let's talk about.
Well, what about Eagles Raiders?
Oh, sorry, I forgot about that. So yep. I picked the Raiders to win. I thought the Raiders played really well, and with all the turmoil and distraction that they had with Gruden, I think the Raiders shook that off.
Yeah, I did not expect him to win in Denver. I thought the coaching firing was just too much, but I'm going with my second upset special, Philadelphia over Las Vegas. I think the Eagles go into Allegiant Stadium and get a win.
Yeah, that could definitely happen here. So now let's talk about some college football. So what's your thoughts on Ed Orgeron being Ed Ogeron potentially leaving LSU at the end of the season. He's probably going to get fired at the end of the season.
Yeah, that's what they said. It'll be a mutual parting of ways, they say. So yeah, I think he's out. The question is the LSU job better than the USC job, or is the USC job better than the LSU job? That'll be
not only that, the Washington State job's open. Nick Rolovich is now fired after his COVID vaccine comments.
Yeah, fired with cause.
So I don't know why the Tigers would fire Ed Ogeron. I felt like that was a mistake by LSU because Ed Ogeron is such a fun coach to be around, and I feel like that you got to give him another shot.
Yeah, I think so too. But he's clearly having a bad season. Last year was a bad season. You can't have two bad seasons in a row in the SEC. It's a tough conference to compete in. Even if you won a title, you have a short leash, and once people start griping about you and maybe the locker room culture isn't there anymore, they're going to move off you and bring in somebody else. So not surprising.
Would you want to see Ed Ogeron return to USC and be their head coach? He would be good there.
That'd be interesting, but I think there's going to be too many other candidates gunning for the job.
I have no doubt in my mind that Ed Ogeron will be a head coach anywhere in college football, but I want to see him go to where he would be a fit.
Yeah.
Because I think Ed Ogeron's such a good coach, but don't you love his interviews?
Yes, yeah.
And when he always says "Go Tigers" at the end, when the reporter says "Appreciate the time," and he says "Go Tigers."
Yeah, he's invested at LSU for sure.
I think he's a legend at LSU, but I really thought that he would be the coach going forward for that program.
Yeah.
So I think USC is going to be the more attractive job, but I'm going to put Ed Ogeron as my list of choices for that head coaching gig with Jack Del Rio.
Yeah.
But what if Joe Brady returns to LSU? Would you want to see that?
That'd be interesting. Yeah, maybe Jimbo Fisher.
Oh my God, no! I don't want to see Jimbo Fisher leave Texas A&M.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. But he knows the AD at LSU.
Yeah, the LSU AD wants actually a bigger name. He wants to go for the fences.
Yeah.
And go with and I heard Dabo Swinney's a candidate. I'm like, he's not leaving Clemson. Kirby Smart's not leaving Georgia. So that's kind of my takeaway there. So let's talk about the NHL first week of the season. So what is your biggest takeaway in that first week of the season for this NHL season? I mean, the Kings beating the Golden Knights in opening night. They lost to the Wild. And then last week, I mean, we had really good games to kick off this new season. Thing right. The error that I had there, so my bad for my end here. So I was saying, what is your biggest takeaways on the NHL season so far?
Yeah, I think let's see. I think my Red Wings going 2-0-1. I think that's a pretty cool start for them. I didn't know what to expect. And so I think, the Wings might be a little bit better than what people thought. Martin Grice doing really good at goalie, and their young prospects, Moritz Seider and Lucas Raymond, playing really well. So, I'm excited for them. And so other than that, it's early. I still think you're going to have teams like the Lightning, the Islanders, the Capitals being in contention. Oh, the Capitals, it'll be fun to watch Alexander Ovechkin chase Wayne Gretzky's scoring title, his goal title, which he won't do this. He won't get to it this year, but maybe next year. And then the Kraken starting, they'll be fun to watch. I'm looking forward to seeing them. And the NHL being back on ESPN and TNT is going to be really good for the sport too, I think.
It is, because you don't have to cram everything in NBC. So that's why I thought NBC just gave up on its coverage. So that's why I think TNT and NHL are going to split playoff coverage, which I think that's needed for the NHL.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's going to be a good thing going forward for the sport. Like the NHL, the Stanley Cup will be on ESPN on even-numbered years, and then odd-numbered years will go to TNT.
Yeah.
So far, I think the biggest surprise so far in this young NHL season, aside from your Red Wings, you got to talk about the New York Rangers being 2-1-1, and they already have 5 points so far. And then the Montreal Canadiens are 0-4, and they don't have any points so far.
Yeah.
So I think Montreal needs to step it up here. I'm also looking at the Buffalo Sabres. Oh, my God, the Buffalo Sabres. They are winning the Stanley Cup. But hold on a minute. The Buffalo Sabres, they're not going to be good.
Yeah. Yeah, they had a good start too.
Yeah, but what's funny is that they're owned by the Bills owners, Terry and Kim Pagula.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they're going to build a good hockey team down in Buffalo too.
Are they getting a new stadium too? The Sabres?
They still have that same arena too in downtown Buffalo. So
yeah,
the Bills, I have no doubt in my mind that they're going to get a new stadium. So talk about the Sharks being 2-0-0. So, oh my God. Why?
Yeah.
How come for the Sharks?
Yeah, a lot of teams off to a hot start. We'll see though. Do they play tonight?
No, there are 2 games tonight. You got the Boston Bruins taking on the Philadelphia Flyers, and then you got the Blues and the Golden Knights on TNT.
That's right, yeah.
I think the Knights are a good team, but if you look at the Central Division, it's very deep. I think it's going to be between the Blues, the Wild, and I think the Avalanche ultimately win it, but I think Dallas is going to be on the brink.
Yeah.
If you look at the division standings right now. So, and then the Kings last night, they came off a very tough loss to the Nashville Predators. They lost 2-1. The Kings, they look better when I watch them play against the Golden Knights and part of that game against the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the Kings so far?
Well, I think that it's gonna be a long season for them. They're 1-2, so we'll see where they go. But the Ducks 2-2, we'll see what happens to them as well. So I guess it's a mediocre start for them as well. But they have 2 wins already. So
and then the Kraken, they're 1-3-1. I think they're a team that you think that could be on the rise here.
Yeah, I think Vegas, they're 1-1. They'll be fine. The Oilers, watch out for them.
And then what about Colorado? Do you think they'll be fine too?
Yeah, I think they'll be fine. Yeah, 1-2, not a good start, but I think Colorado will be up there at the end of the season. The Blackhawks are really bad, 0-3-1.
Yeah, this team with the talent that they have with Kane and Tays, they should be better than they are right now.
Yep.
But they're in the position with the Coyotes, but not to make excuses that the Central Division is very tough. That's what I'm kind of thinking.
And the Canadians are 0-4.
Which winless team will bounce back? Is it the Blackhawks or do you think it's the Montreal Canadiens?
I don't know. Maybe neither.
And then the Islanders are in last in the Metropolitan Division, but I think they're going to be just fine. I like Barry Trotz coaching this team.
Yeah.
So, anyways, for final thoughts is that our next show will be next Wednesday. We're going to talk about Week 8, and we're going to talk about when you get to see my Patriots live at SoFi Stadium.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Are you looking forward to seeing what Mac Jones can do? But do you think the Patriots can beat the Chargers, or do you think that it's going to be the Chargers game?
We'll see. I'll have my pick next week.
All right. I'll see you next week, Matt.
Okay. See you, Loro.